Welcome back. So in our last example, we talked about adding polynomials, and now we're going to talk about subtracting polynomials. So the biggest key whenever you're subtracting polynomials is to look at these parentheses, right? So what do we have here? We have this group here, and there's nothing in front, which means there's just a 1. So these parentheses are unneeded. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4x cubed plus x squared plus 7. But here we have a negative. And so when we have this negative outside of the parentheses, we have to distribute this negative to everything inside of the parentheses. So we're going to go negative times positive 2x cubed, which is going to give us a negative 2x cubed. All right? And once we've distributed that negative, now we're just back to combining like terms. So here I see there's an x cubed, we got 4x cubed, and then negative 2x cubed here. And then what do I see? I see that we have an x squared. And then lastly, there is a constant, which is a 7. Okay, so now that we have our like terms and we know what we're doing, we need to combine the like terms. So x cubed starting with the highest degree, right? So this is 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is 2, x cubed. And then we have that x squared, which is positive, so plus x squared. And then just the constant 7, so plus 7. Boom, there's our answer. Perfect. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so I'm looking at this first group. The parentheses establish that it's a group. There's no number on the outside of the parentheses, so that means we can drop the parentheses. So we have 6y to the 4th plus 3y squared minus 7. But oh wait, here we have a negative sign. So we have to distribute this negative to every single thing. This thing, and this thing inside. So we have to distribute it 3 times. So we're going to go a negative times 2y to the 4th, which is going to be a negative 2y to the 4th. And then we're going to go negative times negative y squared. A negative times a negative is a positive, so it's going to be a positive y squared. And then we're going to go negative times a positive here, which is going to be a negative 5. So that's really the big thing. This is where I see students mess up, is that maybe they just give that negative to the first thing, and you really have to distribute it to each thing inside the parentheses. You have to distribute it evenly, okay? So once you have distributed that negative evenly to everything inside the parentheses, then you just combine like terms. So what do I see? I see some y to the 4th. That looks like the highest degree, right? So we have 6y to the 4th here, and then we have negative 2y to the 4th here. And then what's the next highest degree? I would say it's that y squared, right? So we got 3y squared here, and then a positive y squared there. And then lastly, I see the constants, negative 7 and negative 5. All right, now that we've determined what things are like terms, now we just need to combine them. So we're going to start with the highest degree, which would be y to the 4th. So it's basically 6 minus 2, which is 4y to the 4th. And then we go to y squared, which would be the next one. So we're going to combine that. We got a positive 3, and there's no number here, so we know that's a positive 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So it'd be plus 4y squared. And then lastly, we just have the constants, which is a negative 7 minus 5. So we have those two negatives, so it's going to be, we add them, 7 plus 5, but except it is 12 and it's negative. And that's it. There is our answer. Okay? So now I want you to try 11 and 12 on your own. You're just going to subtract these. And here is my friend the pause dragon. I need to pause your device, work at 11 and 12. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about them. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see how you did. So with this first group with the parentheses, there's nothing in front, so we can just drop the parentheses. 9x cubed minus 5x. And then here, this parentheses, there's a negative outside, so we need to distribute that negative right here. So negative times a positive 3x is just negative 3x. Perfect. Now it's just time to combine like terms. So I see that there's this x cubed, 9x cubed, right? And there's no other x cubes. And then there's the x's that have the variable of, the exponent of 1. So we have negative 5x here and then negative 3x there. So now that we've identified the like terms, it's now to combine them. Starting with the highest degree, this is the only x cubed, so we just rewrite it, 9x cubed. And then these are the same, so we're going to go negative 5 minus 3, which would be negative 8x. And that's the answer. Perfect. Okay, if you got that one right, great job. Let's see how you did on 12. So here, again, we have our parentheses, but there's no number in front of here besides a 1. So these parentheses are really unneeded, so I'm just going to drop them and rewrite. So 6t to the 4th plus 3. And then we have this negative outside, so we have to distribute that to everything inside these parentheses. So we have this right here and this right here. So we're going to go negative times a negative, which is going to give us a positive 2t to the 4th power. And then a negative times this positive, a negative times a positive is a negative 2. Perfect. Now that we've distributed that negative, now it's time to combine like terms. So what I see is there's a t to the 4th, right? So we have this 6t to the 4th, and we have this 2t to the 4th. And then I think all we're left with is some constants. We have a positive 3 here, and then a negative 2 here. So now we just combine like terms. So starting with the highest degree, right? So t to the 4th. So it's just basically 6 plus 2, which is 8t to the 4th. And then we add the constants, 3 minus 2, which is just a positive 1. And there we have our answer. Perfect. That's it. Okay, let's go on to the next page here. So on these problems, we have 13, 14, and 15. I want you to go ahead and try those on your own. Here's my friend the pause dragon. Remind you to pause your device, work out 13, 14, and 15. When you get done, press play, and we'll go over them together. All right, see you in a bit. You can do it. Okay, let's see how you did. So here I'm looking at this first group with the parentheses. There's no number in front of there, that 13, that's just the problem number, right? There's a 1, right? But 1 doesn't do anything. So we just drop those parentheses and we end up with 2x cubed plus 4x minus 2. And then we have this group of parentheses, but there's a negative outside, so we must distribute that negative to every single thing. There's two things, so we have to distribute it twice. So negative times a positive 4x cubed would just be a negative 4x cubed, and then a negative times a negative is a positive 6. Now it's just to identify, it's time to identify what the like terms are. So we have this x cubed, right? So we know 2x cubed and this x cubed, that's the highest degree. And then what else? Ooh, we got this 4x. And then we have the constants. Negative 2 and positive 6. And now we just combine like terms. So we have 2 minus 4, which would be negative 2x cubed. 4x, there's nothing else to combine, so we just rewrite it. And then negative 2 plus 6, which is positive 4. And there we have it. There's the answer. So if you got that one right, great job. Okay, let's move on to 14. All right, again, we have this first set of parentheses. There's only a 1 there, so we can just drop them. But outside of these parentheses, there's a negative, so we have to distribute that negative to everything inside this, and this is a trinomial, right? So we have to distribute it here, here, and here. There's 3 terms. So we're going to distribute it there, and then there, and then there. So a negative times a positive t squared is just going to be a negative t squared. And then a negative times a positive 2t is negative 2t. And then a negative times positive 6 is negative 6. And then we just combine like terms, right? So let's start with the highest degree, which would be t to the 3rd. There's only 1. Okay, and then we're going to go t to the second. And I see that there's only one of those as well. And then we're just going to go t, right, that has a degree of 1. And I see a negative 2t here. And I see a negative 2t there. So those are like terms. And then lastly, we have that constant, which is a negative 6. Okay, now we combine them. So we're going to start with the highest degree. T cubed, there's nothing left, so it's just t cubed. T squared, I didn't mean nothing left. I mean, there's only one term that has t cubed, so there's really nothing to combine, so we just write it. The same is true with t squared. There's only one term, so we just write it. And then we have the variable t that has a degree of 1, so negative 2 minus 2 is just going to be negative 4t. And then lastly, our constant, which is negative 6. And that's it. So if you got that right answer, great job. Okay, on to this one. Now this one's a doozy. Oh my goodness. Let's see how you did. Okay, we have this first group. There's nothing in front of it besides a 1, so we can just drop the parentheses. So we have 4c to the 5th power plus 8c squared minus 2c minus 2. Perfect. Okay, let's look at this next group with the parentheses. Well, there's a negative outside, so that means we have to distribute that negative to everything inside the parentheses, and there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So we got to go negative times the c squared, negative times the negative 2c, and negative times the positive 5. So first, negative times c cubed. Did I say c squared? I'm sorry if I did. It's c cubed. So negative times c cubed would be negative c cubed, and negative times a negative 2c would be a positive 2c, and negative times a negative is a positive, and then a negative times a positive is a negative 5. All right, now it's time to combine like terms. So the first thing, the highest degree I see is the c to the 5th power, right, which is here. And then I see that c cubed, which is negative c cubed, is here. There's only one. And then we have 8c squared here. And is there only one of those two? There is. There's only one. And then there's the degree of 1c, which would be negative 2c here and positive 2c there. And then there's just the numbers, the constants, but I ran out of highlight colors, so they're just going to have to be blank. And then we just combine like terms. So right here, we're just going to write that 4c to the 5th power, and then we do the next one, which would be the 3rd power, which would be, we just write it. There's nothing to combine, so we just write it. Negative c cubed, and then degree 2, there's nothing to combine that with, so we just write it. And then we go to the 1st power, which is a negative 2c and a positive 2c. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So those kind of just cancel each other out. And so we're just left with the constant, negative 2 minus 5, which is negative 7. So if you got all that right, yoke-denki-mashita, you did a wonderful job, and we will see you next time.